Okay. We're live. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me? Are we good to go? Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. I'm going to alert. The crew. And I'm going to give people a couple minutes to actually gather up in here. Got 10 viewers right now. So, we got some stuff to get through tonight. I I don't know how long we're going to go. I don't know how long we're going to how many people we're going to get through, but hopefully it goes well. Hopefully we learn some interesting things. Hopefully we have some fun. J.R. Chadwick, Will Butler, TJ. Posick is not starting as far as I know. Alex Bremmeyer, what's up? Mass Temple, Tommy Eden, Jake, Allen. Welcome, everybody. So, got some interesting news earlier today about the Seahawks. Nobody's on the injury report. Everybody's playing. Everybody is going to play. So, very, very clutch. Colts going to have Carson Wentz. Probably going to have Quentin Nelson, but probably not going to have, well, definitely actually not going to have Xavier Rhodes, which is big, and they're definitely not going to have Eric Fisher, which is big, although expected. So they have problems. Other than that, things are just going along as expected. DK Metcalf was limited in practice today, but not a big deal. I think we're just going to go ahead and get underway. Oh, Junior, okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and post the link in the chat, and here's how it's going to work. The link in the chat, you can click on it, and that'll allow you to call in, and you will appear on stream. I will let you in, and then we can talk about Seahawks. And today, what we're going to do is a little bit different. I am going to basically let people talk about whatever they want to talk about as it pertains to the Seahawks. I'm not really going to ask questions. I'm not going to guide the conversation. I'm going to just let people talk about what they want to talk about as it pertains to the Seahawks. So the link is posted in chat and people can come in. And I'll post the link in the video description as well, just in case. Let me see here. Just in case we get any late individuals. Okay. All right. So first person in, we got J.R. Chadwick. All right, J.R. Chadwick, you were on. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right, man. So 2 days away from this first game, just tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. How do you feel?
Pretty confident, pretty confident. You know, Wentz isn't the most healthy, so could be anyway.
Yeah. I will grant you that Wentz was in a very bad situation last year. but I do think he's lost something that he's never going to get back. His athleticism was a big part of his game, and his athleticism is in large part gone. And without that, he doesn't make those amazing plays that defined him as a player. Those plays where he could escape a sack from 3 different defenders and run for a first down, or he could throw off his back foot and get it 50 yards down the field. He doesn't do that kind of stuff anymore, and that was a big part of his game. That's what made him special. The year he almost won MVP, and I don't think that's ever coming back. So I'm not too worried about Carson Wentz, and he's not 100% playing in a new offense. Yeah. But how about in general, where this team is headed this year?
I think Seattle overall isn't, a Super Bowl contender just yet, but in a couple years, if we make the right moves, I feel like we can be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, that's a pretty fair take. I think a lot of people would agree with that. It's definitely something where you just want to get close. If you get close, maybe you catch fire at the end. That's what the Bucs did last year. They were not a very good team until they got to the end of the season. They were 7-5. They lost to the Bears. They got blown out twice by the Saints. That was not a great team, but they pulled it together at the end. And we see teams do that all the time. The Ravens did it with Flacco. They were not a very good regular season team. We see that kind of stuff happen a lot. Okay, I believe this is Seahawks Jose Rodriguez. I'm going to pull him in.
Brendon,
all right.
How you doing?
How you doing, Jose? So
Good. How you doing? I am confident but anxious. Very, very anxious. Just because of the new OC and because of the instability at corner right now. So that has me very, very anxious with this upcoming season. Now the game Sunday, I am very confident in.
Right.
Because,
yeah. The Colts don't have great receivers.
Right. Especially without T.Y. and I think Ferris Campbell is out.
Campbell is playing, but he's not 100%. So those are not good receivers. Not good receivers.
Same difference. Michael Pittman is the only guy that scares me. And if they're smart, we will double cover him all the time. So, yeah. And Carson Wentz doesn't scare me. Mm-hmm. Next week scares the living shit out of me, but that's next week.
Yeah. I already said earlier today that I feel a loss coming on against that Titans team. It's the wrong team for us to be playing at this time. It just seems like the stars are going to kind of align for taking a loss there, and I think that I'm with you though. This is not a Colts team. The way they're built does not intimidate me that much. The running game is the strength for the Colts, and this Seahawks team should be able to stop the run this year really well. They did it last year. They haven't really lost anything except KJ Wright, and they did add Al Woods. Poona Ford should be better. I expect this team to be able to take care of business without offensive fireworks.
Right. Now, unlike Junior, I don't think we have 2 years to wait because we have a quarterback that's ready to say, "Deuces, I'm getting the fuck out of here." We got DK Metcalf we have to pay. We got an aging Bobby Wagner. We don't know who our free safety is going to be next year, and we don't know who his left tackle is going to be next year, or either of his tackles are going to be next year.
Right.
Now that I think about it, Cutshall is a free agent.
Correct.
After this year too.
Right.
So
yeah,
we got to do something this year, or we, like you said a couple of videos ago, we're gonna lose everything we worked so hard to get. So yeah.
I am actually going to make a video about this specific topic tomorrow morning. But yeah, this year, the stakes are higher than usual. And it's kind of unfortunate that we're here with a brand new offense, but it's what it is. There is at least reason to believe that this team almost traded Wilson this offseason. And if this season doesn't go well, they may revisit that.
Or they could always fire their general manager, but I doubt it. If I was the owner, I would.
Yeah. I mean,
if I was the owner, but I'm not the owner.
Yeah. The way Jody Allen is running those Blazers, it doesn't seem like she's that interested in rocking the boat.
Right.
But you never know. I mean, she did get the Portland coach, whose name escapes my mind. He had been there for a long time. They got him out of there. Terry Stotts. Thank you. Yeah, they got him out of there. But
they hired Chauncey Billups.
Correct. Okay, so they did do that, but Carroll and Schneider are the only coach GM combo that's ever won a Super Bowl here. I can understand that she might go, I'm just not going to fire these guys pretty much ever. I'm going to let them walk away. But
she seems more of a Jerry Jones type owner than that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out. So, J.R. Chadwick, I'm going to pull you back in here real quick. What are you most excited to see this Sunday against the Colts? The new stuff. What of the new stuff on this team, what are you really excited to see?
I'm pretty excited myself to see Dwayne Eskridge play. You know, I really wasn't high on the draft pick at first, but then started coming along. I was like, all right, pretty excited for this guy.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. That would be high up on my list. The thing about Dwayne Eskridge, even though I don't love him as a prospect, even though I don't love the pick, he's going to get on the field a lot and he's going to have a chance to do a lot of good stuff. The reason why I didn't like the Jordan Brooks pick was I was trying to figure out how was he going to make big contributions as a rookie, because you've got Bobby Wagner, you've got KJ Wright, you had Bruce Irvin at the time, and you also honestly had Cody Barton, who had played pretty well the previous year in limited snaps. So I was looking at it, I was like, okay, a player's highest degree of value is when he's a rookie, because he's on that rookie contract. He's making the least amount of money possible. And you want to get max value out of them when they're on that rookie deal. And I'm like, Jordan Brooks, when's he going to get on the field? And he didn't play that much. He got on the field a little bit because Bruce Irvin got hurt, basically. But Dwayne Eskridge is different. Even though I have issues with the pick, even though I have issues with some of the guys we may have passed up, I'm okay with it, because at least I know he's going to get on the field a lot and have a chance to put up big stats. What about you, Jose? What are you most excited for?
JR Jr. took my answer. I was going to say de-escalate for myself, because I know he's going to see the field a lot. I know he's going to be our check down guy who hopefully can make people miss and break tackles and get yards after the catch. So, yeah. But anyone else,
There are definitely guys.
I would have to say Kerry Hyder.
There's a good one.
Especially this week against that beat-up offensive line. Very
true. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for all these defensive line guys to do some damage.
Except LJ Collier.
Well, okay, we're going to have to revisit the LJ Collier thing in a little bit here, because it's definitely getting close to the end for him. Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't do something quickly, I don't think he's going to have any fans left, if he has any now. But, I was watching that Dallas Cowboys Tampa Bay Bucks game last night.
Yes,
One
that
thing
was
I noticed, one thing I really noticed, and this goes back to the Eskridge thing kind of. Every time, with one or two exceptions, every time Dak got pressured quickly, every time Dak got some pressure in his face, he had a dude he could just dump it off to immediately for a short gain. And it was definitely a thing in his head. Like, okay, the moment I get pressured, I'm not messing around. I'm just going to get the ball out to this guy, and we're still going to pick up 6+ yards. We're still going to move this drive along. We're still working towards first downs. And it worked really well. And you could see there was definitely a concerted effort to make sure Dak didn't get hit. And I think that we need to find ways to do things like that. We need to find ways to make sure that Wilson has somebody he can just quickly get the ball off to on a hot read if pressure comes in. That's what we didn't do last year, and there it goes.
Right. I absolutely agree 100% with that. Doc was looking for someone to check the ball down too, but will Russ do the same? Is the question, because you fouled it.
Mm-hmm.
You fouled enough with the moonshot, the deep ball, and everything else.
I think he's going to have to. He's going to have to. These teams are going to play cover 2 until we do something about it. Junior Chadwick, anything else you want to say? Anything else you got for this team?
I like the nice young pass rushers. Even though they're not the flashiest of pass rushers, I feel like a few of our guys can at least have, a couple 5-6 sack seasons in them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I really like the way we put together this pass rush. We don't have a TJ Watt, we don't have a Khalil Mack or an Aaron Donald, but we got a lot of guys who are going to be pretty good. We have a lot of guys who I think are going to be effective, and I think we can be as pressure happy as a team like the Steelers last year, just without the TJ Watt guy doing it all by himself. We can have as many pressures as the Rams did last year. We're just not going to have an Aaron Donald to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, JR, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I got to get somebody else in here, but thank you for calling in tonight, my man. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Have a good night. All right. This is Ryguy. What's going on, man?
Not much. Didn't do much. Just chilling.
Yeah. So I'm going to open it up to you the same way I do to everyone else.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the team right now?
I'm relatively confident. I think this first game is winnable. Next week, that gets a little hairy, obviously, but, we should be able to beat the Colts because they're not at full strength. I mean, and plus, we match up very well against Carson Wentz, even in the 2017 season when they won it all.
5-0. 5-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different team. And plus, we should be able to put points up because this is a dome team.
Yeah, I love playing in the dome. What I would not give for Lumen Field to get a dome so we could see Wilson just turn every game into a track meet.
Yeah.
See DK Metcalf turn the game into a track meet like Julio would do in Atlanta. I love that kind of stuff. And, some people say dome football isn't real football, but give me a dome, man. Let Wilson play in a dome for half the season and see what he does. I think that's great. I love that.
And I think I also saw like Cynthia from NFL predicted the Colts would win, and I thought that was kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
I've said some controversial things about her in the Discord.
Oh, Cynthia. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, every team's going to have some haters. Every team's going to have some haters.
It's also clickbait, but.
And
and
at the end of the day, we can all throw our predictions out there. We can all say what we think is going to happen. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the only thing that actually matters is what's actually going to happen out there. So if those people want to put predictions out there like that, then I don't have a problem with it.
It's their freedom of speech.
Right. So, Jose, okay, you still there?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you as confident in this defense as I generally have been? Because that's been one thing I've been pretty solid on. Like, how do you feel about this defense against Carson Wentz this week specifically?
this week I feel good because of the pass rush and because their O-line is weak, and I think our D-line can feed off that and cause 2 or more turnovers at least this week.
Right. Yeah. I'm big on the turnover thing this year for
Yeah.
sure.
You should be able to get some on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really can make a game where the defense otherwise plays good really end up still resulting in a loss where you play well, you stop the other team, but you never get that turnover. That's what happened to the Huskies against Montana, man. The defense played great.
Yeah, or
We held them
Fresno
to 13 points. We kept forcing punts, never took the ball away. If we had taken the ball away at least once, I think we win that game. So
That's
it's
really
that
what
kind of stuff. The same thing happened in the playoff game against the Rams. We didn't get that turnover, and they were able to get one. And
fits.
even though the defense played well, we still
The
needed that.
offense never did anything.
Right. But even with the offense not doing anything in that game, I do think we may have found a way to win that if we had been able to force a turnover. So
Somehow we weren't.
yeah, exactly. And
Aaron Donald was also out for a good chunk of that game, and it still didn't amount to anything.
right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming the defense for these losses, but at a certain point, you think that this defense should be able to actually take the ball away, and that can flip a game single-handedly.
Yeah.
So, Jose, anything else you want to say?
Yeah. Can I say 2 more things?
All right, go ahead.
If anyone is looking for someone who's streaming their game, come up to me.
Mhm.
I'll be streaming all games. I won't show the games. I'll just do play-by-play.
Well,
And also, Seahawks, do me a favor. Bring back Richard Sherman to play the right side. For the love of God, just anyone is better than Trey Flowers.
yeah, true. The whipping boy.
I understand it, but I think Trey Flowers might surprise some of you. Now, he might surprise you by being average. Some people think he's so bad they will be surprised if he's average, but I feel like he might be that. Don't count
I'm
it
one
out.
of those guys.
And that's another reason why the week 2 matchup could go wrong. Is he has to deal with and Julio.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that, but we got a week before we got to worry about that. All right, thank you, Jose, for calling in. I appreciate it.
Brendon. Good,
Yep. Yeah, you
good
have a good
job
night.
with the good job with the Hawks net as well.
Mhm. Thank you.
So thank you for having me.
All right, this is Washi, I think. Washi, is that you?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man, I just wasn't sure if you were a troll or not. But how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, looking at that clean injury report, it makes you feel good because you almost never see that. This is a violent game these people play.
And last year, damn near half the team was on the injured list.
Yeah, according to Hawks Nest, we were the 5th most injured team last year by games missed, and the year before we were number 1. So hopefully the regression to the mean helps, and we're maybe in the 20s. Now, we do employ Rashad Penny, so there are a certain number of games you just expect a guy to miss. But hopefully we can do a little better this year. So Washi, just in general, how do you feel about this team right now? What are you thinking about with this team?
Yeah, I think I feel pretty good about the team. It's just like I remember like last call-in, I said like the defense would be pretty good, like top 10 if the cornerback room was like top 20. But like the more I've like looked into the cornerback room and had some like thought about it, like I don't think it's top 20. I think it's like bottom 5. So I think the defense could be an issue.
Maybe an element of truth.
I think the defense could be an issue, you know, and I think the offense in the beginning is not going to be amazing, but just because it's like no one's seen film on this offense before and stuff, I think that we'll still be able to put up points, but I don't think it'll be like smooth like the way like the Packers offense was last year, the way like the Chiefs offense is. I think it'll be pretty rough, but we'll still put up points. Might be some turnovers and all that. But
Yeah, it's in buff.
yeah, I think
Mhm.
beginning of the season we'll do pretty good. Just the defense. I won't believe the quarterback room is average until I see it, and I doubt they're going to be average. And it's kind of annoying to think that there might be a chance that we have to make a trade in season without instead of just getting it kind of set up before the season even starts.
Mhm.
But like other than that, I don't really have many issues with the team, and I think we could make it to an NFC title game. But overall, on the whole season, I think we'll probably make it to the division round and then lose.
Yeah, and you know, we have no idea what this team will look like by that point in the season. We don't know who's going to get hurt. We don't know who's going to break out, and the same goes for any team we could play. But
Mhm.
you know, one thing I really talk
Oh,
about a lot on this channel is not so much the fact that the defense should be great. It's that it had better be great because of all the resources we put into it. I talk about this all the time. You gave all that money to Dunlap. You gave money to Puna. You gave money to Kerry Hyder. You drafted Brooks and Collier in the first round. You traded the farm for Jamal Adams, where we traded for Quandre Diggs. You gave $4 million to Akella Witherspoon. That's already like, you know, it's a big fire in the middle of the VMAC, and you basically set that $4 million on fire. And all these resources you put in this defense, and even a guy like Trey Flowers, who, yeah, he was a low draft pick, but you've spent how many snaps over the last 2 years giving him experience? Like, I think he's probably played about 2,500 total snaps. You dump all these resources into the defense, it needs to be good. And
Mhm.
if not, then what is wrong with the guy who assembled the talent? What is wrong with the coaches who are developing that talent and putting it in their system? Clearly, something's not right there. So that's kind of the main thing for me. It's not so much this defense is going to be great because we have all these great players, although I do think we do have mostly good players. It's this coaching staff had and front office had better have been able to assemble a great defense with all the resources you pumped into it.
Mhm. And
Okay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryguy.
sorry, I forgot. And also part of what does scare me is the fact that Ken Norton is still employed.
Yeah, he's one of the guys to really be worried about with this a defense for sure. I will say that he didn't do badly down the stretch last year, but we played a lot of bad teams and bad quarterbacks. So I don't know what that meant, but I'll say this. Early in the season last year, our defense got destroyed by Cam Newton. He threw for like 500 yards. He didn't have 500 yards the whole rest of the season, I don't think. I mean, that was bad. We were getting destroyed by Cam Newton. We got lit up by Kyler Murray, and I know Murray's not bad,
We
but
also lost to the Giants without Daniel
yeah,
Jones. That was also
right. Well,
good.
yeah, well, that's not so much the defense, though. But if you take a look at the defense,
Yeah,
it
that
was
game was
bad
more
against
offense.
everybody early in the season. And as the season went on, it at least did well against the Dwayne Haskins. It did well against the Colt McCoys. It did well against this, the lesser offenses.
Sam Darnold.
But it did do pretty well. It did. We at least saw that. And in fairness, and this is part of the problem with putting all your resources into defense, it's really hard to stop these good offenses. Like last night, Tampa Bay, Dallas, watching that game, maybe those defenses aren't that good, but it seems like there are things you can do as an offense that the defense just cannot stop. I don't know what a defense is going to do about that play where Tampa Bay has Gronk block for half a second and then go out for a quick route on the goal line. Like, what are you going to do? How are you stopping that?
How you stop being Gronk?
in general.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I that one touchdown that Godwin caught earlier in the game. I don't know what a defense is supposed to do against that play. And the Cowboys too, they were running these plays where as soon as Dak gets pressured, he just dinks it off to CeeDee Lamb or a running back. And I don't know what you do as a defense to stop those plays.
Yeah, that's true. Both teams got gashed last night.
Mm-hmm. And I think last night has to be looked at as kind of a microcosm of where the NFL is headed. That's what football is now. You pass the ball a lot. You run the ball when you absolutely have to every now and then just to mix it up and not allow the other team to drop 10 guys in coverage. But it's about your ability to pass the ball. And if you are on your game, it's just hard for a defense to be able to do very much about it unless they have that killer pass rush that can get pressure with 4 people like Tampa Bay did against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
And last night was literally the last team with the ball won.
Yeah, we see that all the time. We see that constantly now. So, Washi, what are you most excited to see on Sunday specifically in terms of like maybe something new to this team or some aspect of this team that you're really interested in?
I'm actually really excited to see like how much play action we use, because I think when I saw the Packers the year before, 2020, they used a lot of play action. I thought that like even if you're not good at running the ball, play action is really good. Just in general, it opens up a lot of things, and I think Wilson would do really good in it. And I remember when we did like the 2-minute drill in the last game of the season. I think it was the last game of the season when we played the Niners. That one game, and the end of it, we ran a bunch of bootlegs, and I saw Wilson was just hitting a lot of throws, a lot of completions, and then like he's not afraid to throw the ball away, if you know what I mean. Like he doesn't just take stupid sacks. So that's one thing I'm excited for. I also want to see how the O-line, like the interior of the O-line does against Buckner. I don't think the Colts edge rush isn't like, I don't think that's that great because they lost Justin Houston, and I think they lost some other player. And they have
Danico
like a
Autry
rookie or something at the D end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to see how the interior of the O-line does, because that's where we spend the resources at.
Right. I want to see how we game plan for this one, because they got one guy who we know is a killer in Buckner. So are you going to double team him? Are you going to scheme him out of the play? Are you going to find ways to make sure he doesn't kill you? Or are you just going to try to play him straight up and watch Kyle Fuller get bent in half every play? Yeah. That's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, Joey Hunt went through that 2 times a year in 2019.
Right. We don't want to see that again. And honestly, I don't know if Kyle Fuller's better than Joey Hunt. Maybe he's bigger. Maybe he's a little more capable size-wise, but I don't think he's good. In fact, I think he might be bad. I don't even think he's average.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick to the chat. If you want to call in, you have to use the link in the chat.
Maybe we should switch to Posick if it's too late.
I think we are going to switch to Posick, personally. I think Posick gets the call up relatively soon after we find out that Kyle Fuller is who we thought he was, which I don't think is going to take very long, because that first game you're playing DeForest Buckner. There are not very many tackles better than him. Kyle Fuller, I think, is going to put on a clinic in this game as to why he does not belong.
We may even switch centers mid-game.
Do any of you guys know what the Colts run defense ranked last year?
The Colts defense ranked very well. They were near the top of the league. I can't remember exactly. They might have been like 8th, but they lost Justin Houston and Danico Autry, who were their 2 best edge rushers, and they're replacing them with a rookie, Kwity Paye, who is going to be good. But to say that a rookie is going to go immediately be a killer, you don't see that very often in the NFL. Guy, I remember Frank Clark barely played as a rookie, and then the next year he was a Pro Bowl type player. the TJ Watt had like 7 or 6 sacks his rookie year, and then the next year he became the all-pro guy that he is now. You don't see guys become killers immediately most of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if they
Yeah.
do, it's usually like a generational talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens every now and then, but
Both Bosa brothers, and I think Khalil Mack was pretty good right off the bat.
it does occasionally happen. It can happen, but in his first ever game, I would hope that you can handle a guy like Kwity Paye. But to the play action thing you were talking about, Washi, because I agree with this, there is a conception among a lot of football fans that play action only works if you are running the ball effectively. And it's probably true that it works a little better, but it still works really effectively, even if you're not running the ball well at all. It's common sense. Play action makes the linebackers step in to stop the run, and it puts them a step slow to cover over the middle. How many times do you see a quarterback do play action, drop back, and immediately just whip it over the middle to somebody who's open because the linebackers came in? You don't need to run the ball to do that. So, yeah, I would, if it were up to me, I'd run play action 20 to 25, maybe even 30 times a game.
Yeah.
I would keep doing it until you get to the point of diminishing returns.
Mm-hmm.
But Ryguy, anything else you want to talk about this team right now?
Not really. I think that this game is pretty winnable. I mean, it's not going to be easy, obviously, but I think we are the better team pound for pound.
Mm-hmm.
And we do own Carson Wentz.
You hope that would be enough. A couple of turnovers, you build up a lead, force him to pass, take away the Indy running game that is supposed to be their strength, and it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you calling in. I will talk to
See you
you
next time.
in the Discord. You have a good
I'll
night.
see you then. You too.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is TJ. I'm going to pull in TJ here. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
So, same question to you. How do you feel about where this team is right now?
Oh, I'm very excited, especially for this defense. When you have this much pass rush against this offensive line, Quentin Nelson might not be fully healthy. I was looking at the thing. It said that Julian Davenport might start at left tackle. He literally only had like one start last year for Miami. Like if you don't get like at least 3 sacks Sunday, then something is wrong.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment. And yeah, that's actually one thing that so Eric Fisher's out, as we know. Eric Fisher's out. Sam Tevi is also out. He was their backup. And Sam Tevi is a meme. Let's be clear about that. He was so bad in preseason, the Colts fans wanted him cut. However, the guy they're replacing him with, like you said, Julian Davenport, is a career journeyman. He's not very good. So whatever it may be, if it's Julian Davenport or if it's somebody else, you're probably looking at a left tackle that you should be able to treat like a matador. So yeah, that's definitely going to be exciting. Okay, so Washi, anything else you want to say about this team right now? Anything else you're feeling going into this Colts game or the season in general?
Yeah. So I think I have like a question for you. And
Go ahead.
It's a bit long. I'll try to make
All
it
right.
quick. So if let's just say we had like 5 different defensive coaching staffs who had the exact same personnel that we had, and they had like an off season, one full off season to coach them up, and then they had like you basically predict how good you think the defense will be, right? So the 5 coaches I was thinking was McDermott, Belichick, Saleh, Staley, and then Carroll. Out of all 5 coaches, who do you feel most confident in order to reach the defense's potential with the exact same personnel we have right now?
I mean, that's really hard to know. It's not a bad idea to bet on Belichick because he's shown versatility in his career to run different kinds of schemes successfully. I really like the Staley. I really like Staley, but he's never head coach before. I don't think you can be that high on him. I don't think you can go that wrong with just saying it's probably Belichick because he's done it so many times. But I kind of want to see what Staley does this year in LA because he to me is going to be really good defensively, and he might be the guy.
Right.
I see a couple people in chat said Carroll. I don't know. The cover 3 to me, a big part of the cover 3 is we're just going to keep everything really simple and let the talent rule the day. If you guys play with, if our players have a lot of talent, then the cover 3 will work very well. But if not, then it's going to be bad. So I feel like he's not doing that much to push the talent you have over the top and make it that much better. If that makes sense. Like, to me, it's basically just, I'm going to leave it up to the players to have their talent rule the day. I'm not going to outsmart anybody with my schemes. I'm not going to send some crazy blitz they never saw coming. I'm just going to play things straight up, and my players will hopefully be better than your players.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you don't have Carroll. Like, I think I have Carroll like 3rd on the list out of all five coaches.
I don't know if Carroll's in last. I definitely don't think he's in first. I don't know if Carroll's last.
I just think like I think his like the mindset of I'm not gonna out scheme you, like I just don't get that, you know? Like I think a scheme can take a really good personnel ceiling just that much higher if you have a good scheme compared to like a not so great scheme or like an average scheme. So it's just like why don't you have a good scheme and do something like I don't know, he just doesn't change it up if you know what I mean. We'll see this year.
We changed it up a little.
How they utilize bear fronts and
we changed it up a little bit last year with the bear front, but okay, so thank you, Washi. I appreciate having you on, man. I will see you in the near future in the Discord. Washi has been part of the channel for a long time, so thank you for coming out tonight. You have a good evening, man. All right. Okay, this is somebody who's been on the channel for a long time, but it's the first time he's called in. This is Mikel Centalonza. I'm going to bring him on. Welcome.
What's going on, Brendon? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good tonight, man. Just watching a little bit of baseball in the background and just thinking about what this season could be. So I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everybody. How do you feel about this team right now?
You know, it's I'm not really sure. I think they have a chance to be pretty good, but until they actually do it, I'm not. I mean, the defense looks pretty good, but it's just a matter of can they get off the field on 3rd downs. It's the same every year. It seems like they have the talent. 3rd and long, it seems to be their weakness. 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 11, it's just they can't get off the field. So hopefully this is the year they finally can do that, get off the field on 3rd and longs. The offense, I think the offense should be pretty good, but can they protect Russ? And that was the big theme this past offseason was the offensive line and Russ not being happy with the team. So see what happens. But I'm feeling pretty good. I think they're definitely a playoff team, but can they take that next step? We'll see.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think a big problem on 3rd down is just you're playing this very basic defense, this cover 3. We talked about cover 3 a little bit before, but it does seem like that at a certain point, good offenses just kind of figured out, okay, when we're playing the Seahawks, that guy's going to be there, that guy's going to be there, that guy's going to be there. So you go there, I'll throw you the ball, and we'll get this 1st down and keep this drive alive. They just kind of figured out where to go. They just kind of it honestly started happening against the Chargers in 2014. That was a long time ago. That was what that was like 7 years ago. We saw the Chargers just destroy this cover 3. Oh, you got a little
I
kid
do.
there. Wow.
This
Wow.
is the newest Seahawk fan.
All right. Wow. Look at that. Very cool.
He's 6 days old, so
Oh, what's his
Very
what's his name? What's his name?
Ryan.
Ryan. All right.
Ryan.
Very cool, man.
Thank
Well, I mean, one more. You know, you always want to bring, you know, you always would rather have more people on your side than less, I suppose.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah. The good news is on third down this year, I think that our we should have a better pass rush than we've had in a while. Last year, the pass rush was one of the worst historically, I think, until we made the Dunlap trade. Now we're bringing in some of these new guys. And I know Darrell Taylor is not new, but he's new to us. We didn't have him last year. You got Kerry Hyder. You've got and we still have some of the things we did last year to mix it up in terms of the Bear fronts, which is exciting to me because now we have linebackers who can effectively rush the passer out of the Bear front. But as for protecting Wilson, it feels like if we don't do that this year, then this could be the last year for everything. We could lose everything this offseason if we don't effectively do that. So, absolutely.
Well, they're going to rely on Chris Carson, so I'm expecting that not to change. You know, Pete loves to run the ball, so we'll see what happens. But I think they're going to try to pound Carson early in the games, I believe.
Yeah. And Carson's good. I think all Seahawks fans have an appreciation for Carson. He just goes out there and does his job every day, and he gets whatever it is he can get out there, except for that one stretch where he had a fumble problem. I don't think any Seahawks fan dislikes him, but I do wonder where the give and take with Waldron's going to go, because is Carroll going to have a big say in the way this offense is run? Is he just going to let Waldron do his thing until things go really badly, kind of like last year? What kind of control is Waldron going to have? And at what point, if any, does Carroll step in and say, hey, I don't like the way we're doing things? That's going to be interesting to watch, because we'll probably be able to tell based off what kinds of plays they're calling.
Yeah.
All right. So, TJ, what are you most excited for on this team that's new? What are we trotting out this weekend for the first time that you're really excited for?
Honestly, I'm really excited if we can use our tight ends a lot more, Everett and hopefully Disley. Because last year, the first 8 weeks, we were really good because all we did was throw it deep, throw it deep, throw it deep. And then the second half of the season, when people started figuring that out, that's when we should have started saying, okay, you figured that part out. Now let's go and use our tight ends and our running backs a lot more in the passing game. And that's what we really need to use this year. And I really think that Shane Waldron can actually bring that to the table. What's his name? Cooper Kupp, how he does, like sometimes when he catches like screens and stuff and just runs up the field. Like if we can, I feel like Pete wants to get the first down on every play, like first down, one try. He doesn't want to do second downs and third downs. Like he wants it in one play. And no, we need to have those short plays.
Yeah. I think it was Hawk's Nest that said this a long time ago, but when Mike Holmgren was here, when Mike Holmgren was the coach of the Seahawks, he really kind of turned football into it's kind of like painting a picture. It's like, okay, 5 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. You're just going down, brush stroke by brush stroke, and you keep going. And this offense under Wilson has typically been more like blacksmith. 50 yards, 50 yards, 50 yards, 50 yards. And it feels like even though Wilson's been very good, he's never really been taught how to paint. He's always been taught how to swing that hammer, the blacksmith hammer, just 50 yards, 50 yards. We're going to get it all here. We're going to get it all there. And I love big plays. I think big plays are awesome. But obviously last year we got carried away with it. And when teams took it away from us, we had no recourse. So I'm excited to see that too. And as for the Disley thing, I have to admit, after last year, I was thinking to myself, this Disley guy, I think he's lost it. I think the injuries were too much on him. I think his body is not able to take this. But as I think about it, I'm like, it's his first season back after 2 catastrophic injuries. Maybe he can be the guy that he was in 2019 again if we just give him a little bit of time. So if it works out, and I like Disley, even if he doesn't put up monster numbers, I still like Disley because he's a good blocker and a good soldier. And I think he plays the game the right way. But if he can get back to what he was doing in 2019, those first 6 games, then wow, that's big. So how about you, Michael? What the new stuff? What are you excited to see the most in terms of new stuff?
I'm excited to see how this pass rush plays out on paper. How many defensive ends do we have? Like 6 or 7?
More than most teams.
The bandit package, whatever they're calling it, where they put Hyder at defensive tackle and Rasheem Green at defensive tackle. I'm just excited to see how the third down pass rush works out with all these extra players and keeping guys fresh, rotating Mayowa, Robinson, Dunlap, Taylor. I think if they keep everybody fresh, maybe only plays 60% of the plays, they can kind of keep everybody fresh throughout the game, and hopefully that makes a difference in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The rotation
Absolutely.
of the defensive line for sure.
Yeah, I think one of our problems last year was Jerron Reed and I think it was Benson Mayowa played 90% of the snaps in some of those games.
Yeah.
And that's just not okay. The only players who can do that are the super duper stars like the Aaron Donalds and the TJ Watts. They can do that because they're so good. But Benson Mayowa is a journeyman. He's pretty good for a journeyman, but he should not be out there for 90% of your snaps. So I really do appreciate the fact that we brought in depth. I'm very high on Alton Robinson. That's a dude who has already exceeded my expectations. So I'm very excited for some of the new pass rushers. Taylor's obviously part of the conversation. We have room for guys to fail. Like, let's say LJ Collier flames out like a lot of people are kind of anticipating at this point. Okay, there are things we can do to mitigate that. You can go get Geno Atkins, which I still think will probably happen either way, but I'm excited to see who brings it. I think we have some guys who are definitely going to bring it. Okay, so TJ, I did a record prediction earlier today. What's your record prediction for this team? Just go ahead and give it to me.
It's tough. I mean, like, there's some games I could honestly, it's like a heads or tails, like the Packers game. I mean, we have that week, that bye week. I mean, we've never been good in Lambeau, but I mean, since we come, actually, no, I take that back because I believe there was one time we was on a bye week, came out, and we still lost.
Yeah, I think I remember that too. I think I know what you're talking about.
I think the Titans game is honestly, I think we can. I mean, it's going to be tough, but I really believe that if I'm not the Titans game, I don't think we're going to be able to stop the offense, but I don't think we need to. If we can just slow them down enough, because Julio Jones has always had a good game against us, even with the LOB. If we could just slow them down enough to come out in the fourth quarter and take a game-winning field goal, I feel like that's what we need to do, because we're not going to be able to stop. We just got to be able to slow them down.
Well, most games in the NFL are close, and when you have a really good quarterback like we do, you can win every game you play. You're never going to go into a game just like, well, I may as well not even watch this game, because you have that quarterback. If you can give him a competent offense around him and at least allow him to unleash himself partially, then you're always going to have that chance. And that being said, like I said, most games are close. I don't think the offense is going to come out of the gates firing on all cylinders. So other team, that goes for other teams as well. They're going to have chances to win at the end as well. You're not going to have a lot of games where you're winning by 30 points in the fourth quarter. You're not going to have a lot of games where you have a 4-score lead. You're going to leave the door open in some of these games.
Like, I feel like we can win every single game this year, but we're not going to. But I feel like there's not one game like, oh, it's a loss already. Like, every game we play this year can be winnable.
Mm-hmm. Right. Michael, anything else that you think about this team? Anything else that is sticking out to you in your mind? Anything else you're interested to see these next few weeks?
I'm just looking to see, or interested to see, DK Metcalf, and if he takes the next step.
Oh yeah,
Can he be a top 5 receiver in the league? We'll see.
I think so.
Yeah, so do I. So I'm just interested to see how he progresses in his career. How do we utilize him? How does Shane Waldron utilize him? Lockett's gonna do what he does, but can DK be that top 5 guy?
Right.
If he can be that player and Carson can be what Carson does, can Carson stay healthy? I mean, the offense should be able to score 30 points a game. Let's be serious.
Once they grasp this new offense, I do think it should work pretty well. I just know it's not going to happen immediately.
No, it won't be early.
Yeah, they didn't even get reps in the preseason. Now, the defenses we play early in the season should not be great, except maybe the Niners. And the Niners, they lost their defensive coordinator, and he was good. Soleil, he went to the Jets, so no guarantees of them keeping all their stuff together from last year when they were a great defense. So, yeah, I do think that there is time for this offense. The real problem is there's no time for this defense. The defense has to be good immediately, or else you're going to fall too far behind. We don't have time to lose games in this division. You lose games in this division, you're out of it.
Yeah, and a lot's going to depend on the defensive line. I mean, the cornerbacks we know are average at best. The safeties are terrific. Can the D-line kind of carry this team, get pressure, force the quarterback into turnovers, making quick throws, and that sort of deal? But so the D-line's got to carry us.
Oh, yeah, and that's probably the best formula possible. Last year, we went the other way. We were like, okay, we're going to spend all of our resources on this secondary, and the pass rush, who cares? Yeah. And it didn't work at all. It was a disaster. It was one of the worst defenses we've ever seen. So this is the way teams typically do it, and unfortunately, we didn't realize this last year, but there's a reason for that. It makes sense. Pass rush is more important than secondary, and we tried to outsmart the system, and it really did not work. Especially, I mean, it didn't help that Dunbar got hurt. I understand that, but still. Okay, TJ, anything else you want to say about this team before we kick off tomorrow in 2 days? Anything else you got?
Actually, I would like to give out a score prediction.
All right.
I think we're going to win 35-17, and let me tell you how I got this. Last year, when we played against the Patriots, they were one of the best defenses in that year, and I think they only let up like 4 passing touchdowns the previous year, and we went out and threw 5 of them on them. So, and with what's his name, Xavier Rhodes, I mean, he wasn't like amazing. He was average at best, but since he's out, like, who is in the secondary that's scary?
Their number one corner is Rock Ya-Sin, who I only know because he has a great name that you cannot forget. Rock Ya-Sin. But yeah, and by the way, Xavier Rhodes was really good last year.
Like with the Vikings, maybe.
He was terrible with the Vikings, and then he went to the Colts last year and was actually really effective. So that's a big loss. They don't have any corners anywhere close to as good as Xavier Rhodes. So that's actually no small issue on their part.
Like, I honestly think DK and Tyler both can get like 100 yards and a touchdown apiece Sunday.
They should be able to. I think in theory you are probably correct. The talent disparity is massive. You're absolutely right.
The only reason that they could possibly stop us is the front 7. I mean, Buckner, is it
Darius Leonard?
Like, they're really good players, but that's like, if we could just protect Russ for some time, then we should have an amazing pass attack game.
Yeah. In theory, it all sounds great in theory, but
yes.
Yeah, the issue is we didn't even get to see any of this in the preseason, so it's hard to have a ton of confidence. You can have some, but we didn't even get to see this new offense in the preseason. So
I'm kind of shocked on that. at least a drive in the third game, like against the Chargers. At least one drive with the starters.
Yeah, well, not Wilson, not Metcalf, not Lockett,
Well,
not
no, but like
yeah.
at least I don't know. Also, besides Michael Pittman, I mean, the Colts don't have anybody because T.Y. Hilton is hurt, I think.
Yeah, Hilton's hurt. They don't have very good receivers. Pittman's their best guy.
I think the run attack is probably going to be the best option.
And they can't use that if they fall behind. But thank you, TJ. I appreciate you calling in tonight.
You have a good night.
Yeah, we will do this again. But you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you around. Okay, I'm going to pull in, I think this is Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, less than 2 days away. We're actually closing in on 36 hours away from the first game. How are you feeling about these Seahawks right now?
I just don't see how they can score on us.
Okay, the only way they could is if they can run the ball the whole game.
I don't think they can with our run defense. I just don't feel like that's going to be a thing that they're going to be able to do all game.
Right. Yeah, I have been a big Carson Wentz fan at points in my life, but I don't think he really has it anymore because so much of his game was athleticism, and he lost it with his Achilles or ACL injury. I know he's still okay, but I don't believe that he's the guy who almost won MVP in 2017 anymore. That's never coming back.
We've seen what he's like without any receivers too, and he's got no one right now this game. I just don't see how they can even throw the ball on us aside from. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the receivers to beat our weak corners. We have problems at corner for sure, but they don't really have the receivers that should be able to take full advantage of it. They got Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell. I don't even know if he's good. Okay, so Michael, you want to throw a record prediction out there?
Oh man, let's see. It's 17-game season now. Yeah, it's still getting used to that. But I'm gonna say 12-5.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. That's what I had a couple months ago, and I think that's very reasonable. I think that there are a couple of games that you just look at and go, I don't know what we do. I don't know what we do against Green Bay. I don't know what we do in LA against the Rams. I don't know what we do to a certain extent against Tennessee in a couple weeks. Like that's a lot to ask. But we also have a lot of games against the softest competition in the NFL. You get the Texans, you get the Lions, you get the Jacksonville. These are teams that should be in the bottom 10. So we have a lot of games like that are pretty much gimmies. And yeah, I think 12 wins is pretty reasonable. I don't know if that's going to be good enough to win the division. It probably won't be good enough to get a first round bye, but it is a representative of something successful. But thank you, Michael. I appreciate you calling in tonight. You have a good evening. I will talk to you soon.
Be good.
See you later, man.
Be good.
Okay, this is Austin Roberts. Austin, welcome.
Hey, Brandon, what's up?
I'm doing pretty good tonight, man. I'm doing pretty good tonight. So I know you missed the last call in, but how you feeling? We got like 39 hours before the first game. How you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm ready for football to start. I like the pass rush. I'm just a little worried about our secondary because I feel like we're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. We got rid of Witherspoon after we gave him $4 million, and if we were to get like Austin Ryder out of that, then I would kind of like that. But it seems like we really didn't get anything, and we just kind of wasted $4 million. But hopefully the pass rush can be good enough right off the bat, and hopefully that takes a lot of load off of our secondary.
Yeah, it has to. That's the way the formula absolutely has to work, and it has worked that way before. So the Witherspoon thing, it's going to be forgotten about quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also, to me, representative of how hard it's suddenly become for Carroll to find these corners the way that he used to. Like
Yeah,
Witherspoon
exactly.
looked like a Carroll cornerback. When we got him, I was like, okay, I know he's had issues in his career, but it makes sense that a guy like this is going to be good when you pair him up with Carroll in this defense. And he was so bad that he didn't even want to let him play. He didn't even let him play a game. He was just like, get out of here. I can't work with you. And you very rarely hear Carroll or Norton ever be negative about a player in press conferences, but they came very close to being negative about Ahkello Witherspoon. So on the one hand, I'm happy that they kicked him out before it became a problem. But on the other hand, why'd you bring him in the first place if it was going to be this obvious that he's awful?
Yeah, exactly. Like, but back in the day, we were able to find like, Richard Sherman was a 5th round pick. With Cam Chancellor, I think was a 4th round pick. Maxwell was pretty good. Lane was pretty good. And it's like now we just can't find any corners, and we just have to keep trading or hopefully something sticks. But back in the day, that's what made us great, is that we could find corners in the 5th, 6th round, was sometimes even were undrafted. And it's like now we can't find anybody.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Reed was a nice get. I'll give him that, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, DJ Reed's pretty good, but he's not Richard Sherman. He's not Jalen Ramsey. He's just pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. And then but Flowers is I just don't trust Trey Flowers.
You shouldn't trust Trey Flowers. I think he's going to be better this year because he kind of has to be, because you can't be worse. But I mean, there's nothing to trust with Trey Flowers. So, Jonathan, you said you didn't think the Colts would be able to score on us. How do you feel about our offense against their defense?
I feel like we're going to be able to score more than them. That's mostly because we actually have receivers this game and a running back, and they just have a running back. And I feel like Carson Wentz, plus they're missing part of their offensive line, and Carson Wentz isn't good under pressure, and he's never been.
No.
And I just don't see, like, there's so many things that stack up against them in terms of their offense. But our offense, I just feel like we're able to score more than them in general.
Yeah,
and it might be like a 17-10 game or a 20-10 game, but enough to where, I think we win by double digits or 2 scores.
Okay,
yeah,
I can get behind that. I wasn't crazy about this Colts offseason. I was not crazy about the way the Colts threw a bunch of money around to bring in guys who were maybe a little better than replacement level. I'll say that. Hawks Nest talked about this a little bit in his stream the other night. They had money and they traded for Wentz, which, okay, that could work out, but they brought in a bunch of these kind of replacement level guys. And I'm like, wouldn't you rather have brought in 2 really good guys instead of 4 whatever guys?
I don't know why they didn't bring in Julio Jones. I feel like he would have been a good receiver for them when he was up forever.
Yeah. I do think Frank Reich is a great coach, though, so maybe he can do something a little extra with that limited talent.
Yeah, I just think they're going to rely on the run game too much, and I just have faith in our front 7 to stop that.
Yeah.
I think that I think that's definitely reasonable to say. I think that this run defense, it had better be good at the very least, because it was very good last year. There hasn't been a whole lot of changes. I know we lost KJ Wright, and I know he was good against the run, but at the same time, you're replacing him with other things. You've got Al Woods now. You've got Darrell Taylor now. We'll see how he can play against the run. You have depth on that defensive line that you did not have last year. That should make it easier against the run. So I think that you're probably right, but I guess the fear would be the game is close the whole way, and the Colts are just able to continue running the ball the whole game, and eventually they wear you down. That can happen. It won't happen if we jump out to a big lead and they have to abandon the run. That's the goal, but that actually requires us scoring some points.
I just feel like this defense can create turnovers this game, or a turnover that can lead to us scoring twice really fast, and then at that point they can't really run the ball anymore because it's like what 10-0, and
Yeah. I 10-0. I mean, 10-0 is not a point where you would expect any reasonable NFL team to start panicking. But if you force them into situations where Wentz has to throw, and we know he has to throw, it is going to be rather difficult for them. I feel good about this one, but the real fun stuff starts next week against the Titans. Obviously, I don't know what we do against that offense.
Yeah, I am worried about that game.
Mm.
I watched your video earlier, and well, I kind of agree with you. I feel like it's kind of the wrong opponent at the wrong time. I don't know how good our offense is gonna be, and if the Titans can find some matchups in our secondary, they could probably put up some points. And then Henry scares me too, but
yeah, that Titans offense is good. About the best you can say in our favor would be that they lost their offensive coordinator, and he was good. He went to Atlanta, and I think he's probably going to be pretty good there. But that team still has a lot of talent, and you might just need Ryan Tannehill to miss a few times in order to win that game, or you might need the offense to drop 40.
I see that game playing out like the Patriots game did last year, where it just becomes a shootout basically, and then whoever has the ball last might win.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to a play at the very end of the game that's very believable. I just don't know if this offense is going to be ready to drop 40 on somebody right now. If we had that game in December, maybe I would feel differently. If we had that game in November, maybe I would feel differently. But it's a lot to ask. One thing that can be pointed out is that it's the home opener, and we haven't had a true home game in almost 2 years. That crowd is going to go nuts.
But yeah, well, the last time we had a crowd was, I think, the last game of the season against the 49ers in 2019, where Hollister was a yard short.
Right.
Inches
like
short.
That was like, and that feels like forever ago.
Yeah. So the crowd may affect that game in positive ways, maybe, but I don't know. It feels like it's the wrong team at the wrong time. That's the way I put it. And if we can play well in that game, then this defense might be even better than I was expecting.
Who do the Titans even have on defense, though? Aside from like, I don't see anyone that could cover DK for longer than 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, that Titans defense is pretty bad. It is. It was very bad last year, but they did add Bud Dupree. They added some rookies. They're probably going to be bad this year, but can we take full advantage? I'm not convinced. I think that's a team, that's a defense that if we played them in December, we'd probably drop 40 on them if we needed to. We might be able to drop 50 on them if we needed to, but to me, doing it right now, I'm not convinced. I'll believe it when I see it.
Do you think that maybe in the beginning of the season we're gonna kind of stick with Schottenheimer stuff more than we're gonna go with Waldron stuff, like just so we can have like some form of familiarity in the beginning of the season, so we're not just putting up duds?
I think we're gonna have to. I think that when we brought in Schottenheimer, we were still running a lot of the Daryl Bevel stuff at first. If you actually take a look at what we were doing in the 2018 season, we were still doing a lot of the Bevel stuff. And because you can't implement a whole new offense in one offseason, you are going to definitely have to go back to some of the old stuff. So you are going to see that. And by the way, Wilson's greatest strength as a quarterback is his deep ball. You don't want to take that away from him. You don't want to tell him you can't throw the deep ball anymore. You have to play like Chad Pennington.
That's what I'm saying. I think if Schottenheimer's our coordinator for the Titans game, we torch him. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe we go to that playbook for that game just because we know this secondary. I mean, who's gonna cover these guys?
Yeah. I think we're going to be using a lot of that playbook regardless for at least the first part of the season because we don't have a choice. But what I want to see is things done so that Wilson doesn't get hit as much. Like, again, I was watching that game last night. Every time Dak got pressured, every time Dak had a rusher in his face, he had a check down. And he wasn't just checking it down to the dirt. He was checking it down to a dude who was open and getting positive yards.
Yeah.
So... So you want stuff like that. You want that hot route. You want a guy who you can check it down to when the pressure comes in so that even when the play doesn't work, you can still get something out of it.
What really bugs me about the offense last year and the past couple of years is we'll have plays where we'll throw like a screen or a slant to DK and he'll just break away. Like in that 49ers game and in that Dolphins game, we threw a screen to DK Metcalf and he got to the end zone, made 3 people miss. And it's like, why aren't we doing that more? I feel like he's so fast to the point where you can just throw him screens and he'll get 3 yards at worst and 25, if someone misses on him or if he makes someone miss because he's so fast.
Right. And we saw a little bit of this in the preseason, not with the starters, but we did see a little bit of it in the preseason. So it's there. I just don't know when it's going to be ironed out completely. Michael Centalonza, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thanks, Brendon, for doing what you do. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support as well, Michael. Good to have you around. Thank you for calling in earlier. So, Austin, why don't you give me your record prediction? If you have one.
I kind of went back and forth between 12-5 and 13-4. I'm gonna go 13-4 because I feel like we need to take the next step, and we can't be losing these games late in the season, like the Giants game, the Cardinals game in 2019. Like we can't be having that anymore, and I feel like we have to at least make it to the NFC Championship game at some point. So I'm going to say 13-4 because I feel like we kind of have to have a good season. We kind of have to at least be NFC Championship or not.
Yeah, I'm going to make a video about that very topic tomorrow morning, like I said, but yeah, that's absolutely true. If we do not have a successful season this year, then you might be in fire sale mode this offseason because it's a domino effect. If Wilson goes, Carroll might say, I'm retiring. I don't want to go through another rebuild. I'm old.
Yeah.
And then Schneider might go because him and Carroll are connected to the hip. And then you bring in a bunch of new guys. Does Jamal Adams go, hey, I didn't leave the Jets for this crap. Get me out of here. Does DK Metcalf go, I want out of here? And you've got veterans like Wagner and maybe Dwayne Brown who are like, I don't want to spend my last couple years on a team that's rebuilding. Get me out of here. Now, blowing it up is something that a team has to do sometimes. That is part of being a football fan, is watching a team that is willing to just be bad for a couple years so they can be good in the future. But if the options are win the Super Bowl this year or go through a rebuild that might produce a Super Bowl in 5 years, I think everybody would take the Super Bowl now because then you don't have to rebuild. Then you might be able to compete next year. So,
yeah. But I feel like it would take a really bad season and like for order for us to do that, like if we go 11-6 and lose out in the wild card round, well, I think that we're just gonna keep everything the same. But
maybe
and that kind of frustrates me a little bit. But
yeah, I don't know. I feel like Wilson could be traded if we don't have a successful year this year, and successful being better than last year.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's on the table.
Yeah, I remember when there was the Russell Wilson trade talks. I felt like Russell Wilson wasn't going to go anywhere because we don't have a first round pick for this for this next draft. And so if we could go like all in this year, and if it doesn't work, well, then you have your first round pick, and then you can trade for more first round picks. What instead of being like the Texans were awful last year, and they didn't even have a first round pick
or a second round pick. They had nothing.
Yeah,
it was one of the most disastrous seasons I've ever seen any team have, not just for how bad they were, but for how little they got out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, of all the new stuff this team has this year, what are you most excited to see this Sunday, you think?
I don't know if you can count this as new, but I'm really excited to see the defense, or I guess the full unit out there. Because last year there were games where I feel like we never really had the whole unit out there. They were always injured, or someone was hurt, or like that one game, Quincy Diggs got thrown out. So I just feel like I'm really excited to see this defense and what they can really do with the whole offseason and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, there are definitely new pieces. I think one of the biggest things is Darrell Taylor being the linebacker in the Bear front, because he is not as good as KJ Wright, but he is a better pass rusher than KJ Wright. KJ Wright, that's not his game. He tried to do it the best that he could last year because somebody had to do it, but that's not his game. And adding Darrell Taylor to that Bear front is going to make it more deadly. And then you throw in guys like Kerry Hyder, and it should work really well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Darrell Taylor. I was kind of upset that we didn't get to see him last year because I feel like he could be great for us.
Yeah, I was impressed with the preseason. He's clearly talented. He's got some stuff to iron out in his game, but I've always liked Darrell Taylor ever since we drafted him. I was pretty high on him.
And that was like a second round pick, I think.
Yeah, he was a second round pick. Of course I rolled my eyes when he didn't play his rookie year, because it seems like that happens to us way too much lately with these rookies.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but I think he's good. I think he's talented. Jonathan, anything else you want to say about these Seahawks? Anything else you're thinking?
I just think our home field advantage this year is going to be pretty nuts. I think last year, we lost that Giants game. I think we win that Giants game if we have a home field, personally, with the crowd. I think
very reasonable.
We lost last year was the
we
Giants
lost
game?
to the Giants and we lost to the Rams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think both those games we might win. Maybe not the Rams game because that was just kind of terrible all around, but I think that Giants game we win if we have a crowd there, just because I don't think Colt McCoy is good. So that, and I'm just really excited for this defense. I'm excited to see Jamal Adams take the next step. I thought that trade was awesome. I think we needed someone like him on our defense, or on our team in general, because aside from once the Legion of Boom left, we didn't really have those guys that would talk a lot. And so I like that back on our defense. I like the attitude back on the team. So that's fun.
Yeah.
And
I will never really be completely comfortable with that trade, but now that he's here, I know he's very good and I know he has a lot of value. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do now that he's healthy and has actually had time to work within this defense before the season started.
With the Seahawks draft picks too, these first round picks are usually really disappointing with what they do, and I'm just happy to get a guaranteed good player with those two first picks instead of gambling on some weird pick that they normally do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, LJ Collier.
Yeah. Jonathan, thank you for calling in tonight, my man. I appreciate it. You have a good evening.
You too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to pull in the Hawks family. Hawks family, are you there? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. Just thinking about this season and wondering what we're going to get. So, what are your thoughts right now on where we are? Just in general, how do you feel about this team?
Just in general, I feel really, really good. like you said earlier in your video, we have no injuries right now, which is fantastic. That's something that is very noted. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is Darrell Taylor. I think we need to get our defensive line going early, quick. We can have the first, if we get at the beginning of the season, like we did at the last 8 or in the last 9 games, if we can do that at the beginning, we could be on a good start there. And then if we can just keep going up from there, I feel like we can have a really good season. I do expect some losses because they're adding another game to this season. So
Yeah. I think that's all pretty reasonable to think. There are holes in this team. There are holes in this roster. But I think things. Do you what do you think? What do you see happening in this indie game? What are you excited for? How do you see this indie game going specifically?
So one thing that I am looking for, I want to stop Jonathan Taylor. I want to make him not run as much as possible. I want to hold him down. I want to make Carson Wentz throw this ball because last year when we played Carson Wentz twice, I believe it was twice, right? We just
Kind of. We played him in the playoffs last year, but he only played like 3 plays.
Okay, yeah, because then he get hurt.
Yeah.
Davion Clowney, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't talk about that guy anymore.
Right.
He's not our problem anymore.
Exactly. But really what I'm really looking forward to is just seeing how our pass defense is going to be this year. I really want Trey Flowers to do good. If Pete Carroll trusts in him and he sees something in him, hey, we might have something going there. He is very inconsistent. I think this is his 4th year. But if he can get his play turned around and we can start going from there, I'd like to see that. So.
All right. Well, the Trey Flowers argument is this, basically. He was pretty decent his first 2 years. He played okay. And then last year he was awful when we had no pass rush. Most corners are going to be bad when you have no pass rush. Shaq Griffin was bad last year. We had no pass rush.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got a pass rush, because we traded for Dunlap, Flowers had been benched and never really got on the field that much after it. He played a little bit and played better. It was just he didn't play enough to win anybody back over. So now that we supposedly have this pass rush fixed, you can talk yourself into Trey Flowers pretty easily.
Exactly.
So I think there is an argument to be made for the Trey Flowers stuff.
How are you feeling about Sidney Jones?
I mean, I'm pretty. There's a reason why he's been kicked around the league a couple times. I know that, but I know he's talented. I know that he has some of the attributes that you really like your corners to have. I know that he is somebody that makes sense in a Carroll defense. I like a lot of the things about him. We got him very cheap. I'm not free. You gave up a 6th round pick, which is not nothing, but you got him very cheap. I thought it was a great trade. It made a lot of sense to me. And I think he's going to get a chance at some point this season. I don't know when, but I think he's going to get a chance. And I give him a decent chance to be able to prove himself. I like him.
Yeah, what I'm really looking forward to is Kerry Hyder, that a new addition to the defensive line. Do you think Vincent Mayo will start over him?
Well, they play different positions, so no. Kerry Hyder's a 5 tech. Benson Mayo was a Leo. I think Kerry Hyder is going to start at 5 tech, and I think the starting Leo will be Dunlap. But the thing is, on the defensive line, it doesn't matter that much who starts. It matters who plays and when they play. Yeah. Like Dunlap's going to start at Leo, but Alton Robinson's going to get a lot of snaps too. Kerry Hyder starts at 5 tech, but Rasheem Green's going to get to play there too a good amount. And at the end of the day, the goal is not to, who starts is not that big of a deal. What is a big deal is, do you have guys who still have gas left in the tank at the end of a close game? And we have built a team that I think should be able to do that.
Yeah, I love our backups, man. Ryan Neal, there's just so many of them that we can just rotate, so that way we have constant fresh legs, and I think that's a very, very big deal, especially going on into the ending of the season too, as well.
Austin, anything else you want to say about these Seahawks? Anything else you're thinking about these Seahawks right now?
The center position is really scary. I feel like because Well, I feel everything else on the O line is at least good or is at least manageable. I don't think Ethan Posick is as bad as a lot of fans would think he is, but I just don't trust him to be the center for a full 17-game season. And then with Kyle Fuller, I don't trust him to put his pants on, to be honest. I don't think he's that good. And so hopefully, like, maybe we can make a trade in like week 3, or I don't know, like, I don't know what the deal is with Austin Ryder. Is he just bad? I don't know, because I feel like he would be an upgrade over Postic and Fuller right now.
Yeah, I cannot help but feel like the Fuller thing is temporary. There's no way you can plan to go through a 17-game season with that guy at center. Maybe I'm completely wrong on him, but he's somebody who I don't just think is not good. I think he's actually bad. I think he's truly a bad football player, and I think that he will confirm that notion as the season starts. I think that's something that we can overcome because the other spots on the offensive line are at least decent, but it's not preferable. And as much as Posick is not very good either, I think he's probably a lot better. So I'm in agreement there. To me, Posick. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Yeah. As much as Posick is not the greatest thing in the world, and I understand that, I think that Posick is, at least for 8 games last year, he was good, and then he got concussed, and then he was bad again. I don't have 8 games with Kyle Fuller. I don't think I have 8 snaps with Kyle Fuller.
Yeah, with Posick, like, I feel like he can be good if like your center is out for like a week or 2 and you need him in there, but for a full 17-game season, I'm not sure. Like, if we can upgrade over Posick and then Posick can be a decent backup, I would prefer that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. When we re-signed him, I was like, okay, he's going to be a backup, right? And then, no. Well, actually, yes, he is the backup, but not like this. I didn't want it like this.
Yeah, and then, all the centers went in free agency. Like, we had a chance to sign the big names, and we didn't do it.
And David Andrews, Ted Karras, Matt Skura. There were all kinds of guys. Didn't happen.
So it's like, and so I'm like, maybe
Feels
we should have signed. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen the running back situation over in Baltimore. They're just having bad luck. 3 of their
yeah. I definitely have noticed that. And
Edwards scores ACL now.
Edwards and Marcus Peters.
Yeah, and Gus Edwards. Did you just mention him?
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Marcus Peters, and one more guy. So,
there has to be something wrong with that turf. Like, how does everybody keep getting hurt? Like, one player goes down, that's okay, but like, this is like the 5th player that's gone down for the Ravens.
Well, the reason I'm like asking that is because do you think that Seattle should like reach out to them for a trade to possibly acquire someone?
I thought about it, but eventually I said no, because I think assets this year are more valuable than assets next year for this team, because we're trying to win the Super Bowl this year. If we were rebuilding, then give me that. Give me that all day. But we're not, so I don't think so. All right, Austin.
I was actually thinking of,
okay.
I was actually thinking about that too, but with Rashard Penny's injury history, I don't think that we have much with trade value there. So,
all right. I mean, if you send him to Baltimore, it feels kind of mean, because of course he's going to tear his ACL, because if those guys couldn't keep their ACLs intact, then what chance does he have?
Yeah, and I feel like Alex Collins doesn't have much of a trade value either. Like,
he would have a little bit, but I think I'd rather have him. I'd rather have him than a draft pick.
I like Alex Collins.
Yeah, I'd rather have him. All right, Austin, thank you for calling in tonight, my man. I appreciate it. I will talk to you soon.
All right, see you, Brandon.
I'll probably stream tonight. If you're around, I'll probably see you in there. I know you're usually in there.
Oh, okay.
All right, you have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, Green Earth. Green Earth, we're pulling you in, man. What's up? Oh, I think he dropped his phone down the stairs. Or he just fell down the stairs. I'll
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Did you just fall down the stairs?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, I think he can't hear us. 1 second. Okay,
I can hear you guys right now.
Okay, can you hear us? Okay.
Let me leave, actually.
Okay, this is Tumbo then. Tumbo, welcome.
Oh, what's good?
Not a whole lot going on tonight, man. Just getting ready for this season. So you said in chat a couple times, I saw you say it, you're feeling pretty good about where we are right now. So
yeah.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it, man.
We just got rest. I don't know. I feel like he's just gonna be his normal self. And I feel like it's kind of bad, but I be like thinking, dang, Russ doesn't ever get hurt. Will he get hurt this year? Man. I don't know. It's just some bad thought because he's never really. The only thing he's ever had was that one time against Miami where he had tore up his knee a little bit. But other than that,
yeah, Sioux stepped on him, and he steps on everybody. So of course that happens.
Yeah. So I feel like he gonna be all right this year. And it's just,
and the reality is, every team in the league that has a good quarterback is going to have this problem. We're like, wow, if he gets hurt, we're in trouble. Every now and then you can get lucky and be like the Saints when they lost Drew Brees and they had Teddy Bridgewater, but that doesn't happen a lot.
They had a really talented team though.
That too.
Teddy.
But yeah, if the Chiefs lose Mahomes for the season, they're going to be in trouble too. If the Ravens lose Lamar, what are they going to do? If the Cowboys lose Dak, we saw what happened last year with no Dak. It was bad.
But
so
go ahead.
So you're assuming we have Wilson. You seem pretty optimistic about where this season can go.
Yeah. I feel like I'm really happy that we got Brian Schottenheimer out of here. Should have never hired him in the first place. Everywhere he goes, that team doesn't do what they are supposed to do. I don't know why we hired him, but I feel like we're going to be doing pretty good with Shane Waldron's offense. But it's kind of crazy because 3 of the 4 teams in our division all run a Kyle Shanahan type of offense. So like when we play division opponents, how is the games going to be? Like it's 3 teams running variants of the same offenses. So I still feel like we may struggle against the Rams still. I don't feel like the 49ers will be doing anything that much this year. I feel like we'll struggle against the Ram defense, but I'm not sold on Matt Stafford at all. I don't know why anybody is. He's not that dude. Just because he puts up numbers when he throws the ball a billion times and is in garbage time a lot, all in the past, doesn't make him – everybody's making him seem like he's some top 10 quarterback. No, he's not. He's had his chance all these last 12 years in Detroit. He's never produced anything. And then on top of that, you can't blame Detroit because he's had chances time after time to leave, and he never decided to leave. The only way he left was by getting traded. So, I'm not sold on Matt Stafford at all. But I think the Rams' defense are going to be really good, though.
He's better than Goff, though. He's got to be better than Goff. I mean, Goff is pretty bad, I think. So I'll give him that.
I say Goff started falling off, but if Goff got that team to a Super Bowl and Matthew Stafford don't, because they spent a lot to get Matthew Stafford, especially including how old he is. They spent a lot. They gave him 2 first-round picks. They're still paying the dead money for Jared Goff. Plus, they got to pay Matthew Stafford, and I think maybe another mid-round pick. They paid a lot. So if Matthew Stafford don't take them to the Super Bowl, I mean, they might have been better off using those to try and get a young quarterback or trading up or something, trying to do something.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be impatient, right? Because they're looking at it like we got Aaron Donald, and he's the best in the world right now, but he's not going to be the best in the world in 5 years. We got to try to do something now. So they were desperate, and they're like, okay, we're going to give away all of our picks for Jalen Ramsey and Matt Stafford. We don't care about the draft, and maybe it'll work out for them. But if it doesn't, it's kind of a disaster because you've got no first round picks for the next 800 years.
Yeah, and also like the Rams did this in 2018 where they just spent all their assets. They made it to the Super Bowl, so they going forward again. If this don't go the way, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, I think this was all a waste because
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like
so much because they're still talent. They're still going to be talented for the next. But that just the whole team is going to be talented. It's just a question was at quarterback. So you probably could have saved those picks and waited. Maybe shoot, you probably could have got Sam Darnold or shoot. Imagine if a year from now, when all the Deshaun Watson stuff goes down, they use those assets to get Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson's on the Rams.
yeah, that would have been a problem. That would have been a big problem.
I think. Do y'all think Deshaun? Who y'all think Deshaun's going to go to if he goes to any team and win?
I'm going to say the Broncos. Honestly, I think that Bridgewater is just a 1-year thing, and I don't think Drew Lock is about it. Is any good? So I feel like Denver. It makes sense. Denver's going to get either him or Rodgers, depending on how this next year goes. That's my guess.
Denver's a good team, especially
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon over there. They have that new wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. He's not going to be opposed to going there. So, and then they have that defense with Melvin. Melvin. I can't even remember his name.
Gordon or Melvin Ingram?
No. He's Von
Ingram.
Von
Yeah, they
Miller.
got Von Miller. They got Bradley Chubb. They got Justin Simmons. They got a good team.
They got Kareem Jackson too. Don't they got Kareem Jackson?
Yeah, I think
From
so.
the Texans, he switched to from corner to safety because he's older now, but he had a great season. And the safety, you said him, Justin Simmons. Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah.
They got a really talented team. Just quarterback is the problem.
Yeah.
That offense. Cortland Sutton just had 1,000 yards 2 seasons ago. Jerry Jeudy, Ken Hamlin was working us. Hamler was working us in the preseason. I liked him in college too.
KJ Hamler. I remember scouting him too.
Yeah, I like him.
But the thing about Waldron, go ahead, Hawks family.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask real quick. We have a lot of talent on our offense. If there's one player that's on the offense that's a sleeper, that's going to be a star, that's not a star yet, who is that on our offense?
Well, there are only so many players that are really going to get a chance to, you would think, unless it's just a complete disaster with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I might say Will Dissly because people have kind of pushed him to the side because we got Gerald Everett and everyone thinks he's going to be good. Well, what if Everett doesn't work out or gets injured and then Dissly is the guy he was in 2019? Because in 2019, he looked like a really good tight end. And then last year, it wasn't there. But maybe that was just because it was his first year back from a massive injury. That's the only guy I can really think of, unless you think Carson gets hurt and then Alex Collins rushes for 1,000 yards. But Collins has done that before. That's shocking, I don't think.
Right.
Collins is good.
Well, if Will Dissly does it, also we're going to be running a lot of formations where we have single back. We might have 2 tight ends. He can be doing some work since Gerald Everett's he's going to be our starter, taking up, more talented players are going to have to guard Gerald Everett. So he might be working some third or second stringers, like a third string DB or a second string linebacker. He might be able to put some work in and have a really productive year as a backup. Well, not as a backup, as our second string tight end. Because he showed us he got the talent. It's just got unlucky with 2 knee injuries.
Yeah, he's a good route runner. He gets open. He's got good hands. It's just maybe last year was just him working his way back from the injury, and he's going to be big again this year. I remember those first 2 years he was here. I was like, this guy makes me think of Jason Witten. And Witten was never the greatest tight end in the league, but he was able to have 1,000-yard seasons for like 20 years.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but one thing about the Waldron thing, for years, whenever the Seahawks defense would get lit up, one thing that Carroll would say in post-game press conferences was the other team used a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap motion. And we have a really hard time dealing with that. And I always thought if you have a hard time dealing with it on your defense, then your offense should use it. Shouldn't you be using the things that you think work well against you? And we never really did. But this year, I think we're going to get some of that. So a couple years too late, finally going to do it. So I do like that. That's
well,
big.
I feel like he's a guy who puts a lot of trust in his coordinators, both on offense and defense. He'll let you run whatever until you show that it's like if you're the offensive coordinator, the offense starts doing terrible. If you're the defensive coordinator, the defense starts terrible. Then he'll step in. So when it came to the offense, we weren't ever putrid until the last half of last season. So I don't feel like he really interfered with Brian until mid-season after we played the Bills, and then the offense was just horrible, and then we started running the ball and playing run the ball, play defense, and to get us back on track of winning. So I feel like he may have a lot of confidence in Sean Waldron because of how much Sean Waldron has lit us up, him and Sean McVay in the last few years. So I feel like if I got confidence in Sean Waldron, I feel like he'll be fine. So he'll be able to run whatever he wants, do whatever he wants to do. He has talented players, so the offense shouldn't be performing poorly. And Pete won't have to step in and change something up.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want. Pete does some things that are nice, but I don't think he has the right idea with offense. I think the whole big play or nothing thing is largely from him. So we definitely want to prevent that, I think. I think delegation is something that is very important to us having a good year this year. So, Hawks family, anything else you want to say? Anything else you're thinking about these Seahawks right now?
Anything that I got else? No, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Shane Waldron's offense. I'm ready to see those quick passes, those slants to DK. I really, really want to see DK working on his hands. He had a lot of drop balls last year, so maybe that's something that he can improve on. Just getting the ball out quicker, and our defense. I really want to see our defense perform this season. They have to perform if we want to win a championship.
Yeah, they got to perform from week 1 too, because the defense, it's the same defense we've been running for 100 years. A lot of the same players, same coordinator, same coach. Got to perform. Exactly. All right, Hawks family, thank you for coming on tonight, man.
I appreciate it.
You have a good evening.
You have a good one, man.
Okay, this is a Green Earth who sorted out his technical issues, hopefully. Green Earth, can you hear us?
Oh, whoa.
I can hear you now, yeah.
All right. Welcome, Green Earth. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, doing great.
All right, so you're probably the last caller I'm going to have on here, but I got to ask you the same question I ask everybody. How do you feel about where we are right now, 36 hours 38 hours before game number 1?
I don't know, man. If I don't know, has D. Eskridge said if he's going to play yet?
He was not on the injury report. We have every reason to believe he's going to play.
Okay. It'd be pretty major loss if he didn't play. There's a lot of moving parts that need to get incorporated as soon as possible during this game, almost as like a test run. And if we have major pieces missing from the offense, and that's a pretty big blow.
Yeah. As far as I know, there is no possibility of Eskridge missing this game with the information we have right now.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to have everybody ready to go. So really no excuses. I mean, this injury report, you will never see an injury report this clean in the NFL. This is a violent game these people play. Somehow we have everybody. You will not see that again for a long time in all likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
How many receivers are suiting up? Do you know? Would you have? Because we only got 4 on the roster, right?
Penny Hart got promoted, so we have 5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Penny Hart got called up from the PS. Now, we are going to have to declare some players inactive before the game. So we could declare a receiver inactive, but we don't know that. We're not going to know that until right before kickoff. But
yeah, you only really need 4.
Unless somebody gets hurt.
Well, we do have a fairly good tight end out there now.
Yeah, that's one thing too. Gerald Everett, not only is he pretty good, he can play receiver. He lined up wide a lot for the Rams. He lined up in the slot a lot. he lined up outside a lot. He lined up wide more than almost any other tight end in the NFL. So there's definitely something there.
Yeah, Everett's gonna need to be like the third best pass catcher for that acquisition to really be worth it. And I think he can do it. Mostly it's just Russ and this whole offense needs to retool the entire passing game for just more efficiency.
Right. So, Tumbo, I'm going to go to you. Of the things on this team that are new, things that we got this offseason, things that we didn't have last year, what are you most excited to see this Sunday against the Colts?
The variety of corners we have. I feel like if somebody's getting torched, we got another one. We can stick on them and try and see if that work. I feel like this year, since we don't know who's going to be for real that second corner, we can try a whole bunch of things and see who works on different receivers. One week, Trey Flowers might be getting lit up, so we put in Sidney Jones. If Sidney Jones playing bad, we could put in Trey Flowers or somebody else. I feel like since we don't have any corners, the amount of corners we have may be able to help us. Just like, put the hot man in. If Pete is willing to do that rather than just letting them stay out there and getting torched all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of quantity has a quality all its own,
Yeah. It's a weird situation to be in. I know you put it this way a couple times in chat, Tumbo. We have not enough corners and we have too many corners. Because we got a lot of guys who might be all right, but none of them are really like reliable. So it's going to be interesting to see how they balance. By the way, Carroll really likes John Reed. I don't know if that means anything yet, but he likes John Reed. So we'll see.
I was hoping he would because I really wanted a TlVlO out of here. I was like, please, I hope he does something in practice. So because I did not want to put Witherspoon on the field. I saw he played in San Fran. Saw he played in the preseason. I was like, no, please don't. Please, somebody else step up so he won't have to be the next Kerry Williams, please.
Yeah, people who are upset with the front office, really this offseason has been to their credit, I guess, in determining that the front office sucks. Because it really has to be said that this corner group has to be evaluated as a failure, right? Like, this is almost an unqualified failure on their part to really secure a good group, or at least a second person.
Kind of.
I think that's a little bit hard because, I mean, out of the 32 rosters in the NFL, only about 2 of them are like, you can say that from top to bottom, every position, like the Browns and Tampa Bay roster, it's straight. Almost every team has a weak group on offense or defense. So, I mean, it's just our weak group. We just got to deal with it. For now, we can't do nothing. We got to either wait to the draft or wait to the next free agency. I mean, it is what it is. We've had a weak offensive line for a long time. One time we didn't have no running backs, Before Pete was here, the wide receivers and the quarterback wasn't too much to really say or do anything about, when Tavares Jackson was starting or when the end of Matt Hasselbeck and Seneca Wallace when they had to play. So, I mean, it is what it is. Every team's going to have a weak group, but it's really hard to build. It's really, really hard to build a roster like we had in 2012, 2013, 2014.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll rephrase this. The offseason acquisitions have been pretty much an unqualified failure in terms of getting a second guy. Most likely Witherspoon.
It is really kind of weird that we went into the off season, and if the season started in February, our starting corners would have probably been Trey Flowers and DJ Reed. And now after the off season, that's still the case. Like, you had all this time to bring in a bunch of different people. You could have drafted people. You could have signed people, traded for people, and somehow you're still in the same spot. Now, the good news is I don't think Trey Flowers is as bad as some people say. I don't think – I understand that he has had bad games that are his fault, but last year – I mean, this is actually a good example. Last year, we were supposed to have great corners. Everyone felt great about our corners going into the season. We had Shaq, we had Trey Flowers, we had Quentin Dunbar, we had a Marquise Blair. We were like, wow, we got the best corners in the league, and look what happened. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that for sure until after they actually fail on the field.
Okay. Oh, it is kind of weird that, like, our nickel corners is the strongest group compared to the outside corners, and I don't even know how much they're going to see the field. The defensive philosophy has to change towards a more heavy, like, pass rush, so maybe they can get on the field, like, just trying to cover short stuff, but I don't know how much they're going to see the field, really.
I would expect our nickel corners to be on the field at least 70% of the snaps. If they're not on the field at least 60% of the snaps, then something is wrong. Because I'm sure some of you guys remember 2019. 2019, we played base all game long. We barely played any nickel, and it was terrible. We had Michael Kendricks and KJ Wright trying to cover wide receivers. I remember we played Tampa Bay, and we had KJ Wright trying to cover Mike Evans one-on-one. And just the most frustrating stuff. The most aggravating stuff, because we had nickel corners on the roster. You just had to put them on the field, and we didn't do it. I think we're past that, because last year we played the nickel corner a lot. I think the nickel cornerback does play a lot.
You know what's funny about that? Because the year before that, we played nickel because that's how Justin Coleman got his big payday with Detroit. And in 2018, we weren't bad on. We weren't nowhere near as bad as we were in 2019. You know what I mean?
The 2018 D was solid. But Carroll saw something he really liked with Michael Kendricks and was like, I got to get this guy on the field. And Michael Kendricks couldn't tackle anybody and couldn't cover anybody. It was very weird. I will never understand that, sending Michael Kendricks out there because you think he's so good because he's fast. Never mind the fact that he can't cover and he misses 2 tackles a game. So I don't know what that was all about, but I think we're past that now. I hope we're past that now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just hopefully we'll be able to not get diced by a lot of teams this year in the short passing game like we did previously, because we have Jamal actually able to cover and just sort of be the tackler like how he's supposed to be, not a blitzer.
I remember watching this preseason, like a few plays of we had Alton Robinson in coverage. Mm-hmm. We don't need to do that ever again.
Yeah.
When I see him in coverage, he looks a little bit stiff and slow and like just a step behind whoever he's covering every single time. Like by the time the receiver's catching the ball, he's just turning around. So I hope they don't put him in a lot of coverage, because if we're gonna be who's gonna be the third linebacker whenever we run 3 linebackers?
Well, I think the most likely candidate.
They're going to get targeted probably a lot by a bunch of teams.
I would imagine it's Darrell Taylor, and he's going to get beat a couple times, but I think he's athletic enough to make up for it. And if not him, then you do have Cody Barton, who played well in the preseason, but I feel like there are areas of Cody Barton's game where he's good, but he's really weak against the run. And I remember last year against the Vikings, all the Vikings did the whole game was run at Cody Barton, and he couldn't do nothing about it. I think he's pretty good in coverage. I think he's a good blitzer, but if they're just going to run the ball at Cody Barton for 6 yards a gain every time he's in the game, then you have a problem. So I want to see how he develops there. But I think it's going to be Taylor.
But if we do Taylor, that's going to take him out of he's not going to be rushing the passer. So whoever's rushing the passer, they gotta they gotta step up.
Yeah,
good enough to do that. So too,
I mean, Taylor's a Leo. We have a lot of Leos. We got Dunlap, we got Mayoa, we got Alton Robinson. Those guys can be on the field as the Leo when Taylor's playing linebacker. I think that's fine. And remember, you can have bear fronts. In a bear front, you basically have a Leo on one side and a Leo on the other side almost. So you have Taylor on one side and maybe somebody like Dunlap on the other side. It's definitely something that's workable.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll be we may put Dunlap maybe in a flat here or there, or drop back a couple of steps. I don't think he'll be mainly rushing the passer. So
Yeah, I really don't like that stuff. I remember there were a couple times in 2019 where we dropped Clowney into coverage. Felt like something bad happened every time. As much as Clowney is not very good, he was the best that we had. You got to put that guy on the rush every time because he was the best that we had.
As overrated as he is, I don't know how that a dude that overrated can win. He sometimes wins teams games. He did it for us a couple times that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Just as like an ending note, are you guys at all familiar with the Colts defense?
You mean in terms of personnel?
Yeah. Or like
I mean, I understand generally speaking, they're built around Buckner and Darius Leonard. They got Kwity Paye, who's a rookie, but he's going to be good. They got they signed a bunch of mid-level guys to like 10 like mid-level contracts, which I thought was a little weird. So I know them a little bit.
They're not the best at stopping they're good at they're decent at stopping the pass, but they're not the best at stopping the run. So maybe play action. Sean Waldron likes to do a lot of play action. We can hit them up a lot with that because they're gonna if they're not that good against the run, use Chris Carson to keep on baiting them until they stop us. Pull back one play. We got the receivers who can burn anybody, just about in the league. So we should be able to do something in the air against them. And if not, they're not that good against the run, and we got a good running back. So one of them has to work, and one of them should work.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be getting shut down by their defense.
Not having Xavier Rhodes really blows for them because he was their best corner last year.
They also lost Malik Hooker, who was a beast of a safety, but he stayed hurt, so he's not there anymore either.
Oh,
okay.
What?
So Tumbo, anything else you want to say about this team before we part ways? Because I think we're about to get out of here.
Not really, man. You streaming
All
it
right,
now?
man. Yeah, I'll stream something tonight, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but probably.
All right.
But you have a good night, man. I appreciate you coming on here.
Y'all take it easy now.
All right. Green Earth.
Yeah, I don't know how much Dead by Daylight I can stomach, so.
The game doesn't work right now anyway. It's fine.
Okay.
And by the way, you need to download the update. But anyway, anything else you want to say about this team right now before we basically, your final chance to speak before the season starts?
No. Everything has been said.
Pretty
much.
I think that's probably.
I do not know how you could go over more of the minutia than we already have.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty fair. So,
yeah.
Thank you for coming on tonight, Green Earth. I appreciate it. I will see you around the Discord. I'll see you in chats. And yeah, good talk, man.
Yeah,
you have a good night. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. We are done. Thank you, everybody who called in. We went over 2 hours tonight on call-ins, did very well. I'm very happy with the way it proceeded tonight. So we are going to be doing this again in a month, but for now, that's going to do it. Keep an eye out later tonight. I think we will probably stream more Hades because I can't do Dead by Daylight right now because the game is busted. So I will talk to you guys later tonight or tomorrow or whenever you find your way back here. Streaming the Huskies game tomorrow night, by the way, if you guys want to know when I stream next, for sure. But see you guys later. Go Hawks.